Hello there, class. We're going to do some arithmetic time now. It's a review lesson, so you should know most of what needs to be done. I hope you do by now, but there may be a few things we go over, like you see on this piece of paper right here that I'll be showing you in just a moment. Maybe some equations, maybe some measurement problems, not forgetting how many quarts are in a gallon, how many pints and quarts. What's the difference there? And going through all of those things. Don't forget to keep reviewing your multiplication problems or facts, not forgetting those as you divide and multiply. Go over those. 9 times 7 equals what? 6 times 6 equals 8 times 8 equals 9 times 9 equals 12 times 12 equals. Could you say the answer before I went with the next one? I hope you could. And know your facts. How many seconds in a minute? How many minutes in an hour? How many days in a year? How many days in a leap year? How many pounds in a ton? How many pounds in a metric ton? Did you say 2,200 for that last one? I hope so. So be not forgetting those things as well. And we'll be looking at these in just a moment. So if you don't have your arithmetic book, make sure you have it as we start our class, okay? So here we are with some measurement equations, or I should say just equations, solving the unknown. We've gone over these a number of times now, but let's just make sure we still know how to do them. What is the first step? Did you say solve what we can? Yes, we solve what we can and just rewrite what we cannot. So the unknown, let's just rewrite right below it. And the temptation is, I don't want to do that. No, do it. Rewrite it. And it'll be much easier if you're just rewriting everything. 64 divided by 8. We know that 8 times 8 equals 64, so 64 divided by 8 must be 8, and it is. Now we do the next step. We're going to have to look at this side now, and we're going to write over here. We're going to rewrite, but we're going to come over a little bit so we have room because we'll write some more on this step. In minus 7, what's the opposite of minus? Plus. So in minus 7 plus 7, use the same number. Minus 7 plus 7 equals 8. And what did we put all along here? We put a plus 7 next to it, didn't we? What was our add-on? Plus 7 here, so plus 7 here. Okay? So if in minus 7 plus 7 equals 8 plus 7. So now we get to solve. A minus 7 and a plus 7 is what? I'll just say the word, it cancels out. That means it's not, it's nothing. It's 0, 7 minus 7, 0. And we're left with simply an n, and I'm just going to write my n is what's left, equals 8 plus 7. And you know that 8 plus 7 equals 15. This is my answer, if I've done it correctly. I'm going to draw a line there, and I'm going to put 15 wherever I see n in the original equation. So n minus 7, if n is 15, I'm going to plug in 15 for my n to see if that's true. Minus 7 equals 64 divided by 8. 15 minus 7 is what plus 7 equals 15? 8. Then 15 minus 7 must be 8. I like to do that in my mind when I get to subtraction. I think, what makes 15? 8 plus 7 equals 15, so 15 minus 7, 8. To me, that's easier. 64 divided by 8. 8. Does 8 equal 8? Yes, 8 equals 8. Check. That is checked. That is correct because they equal the same. We know that yes, n equals 15. Okay? N equals 15. And there you have it. So keep practicing those. Then we have something called measurement equations. The first thing you're going to do on these is look at the unit. Notice which unit is used more and which is just used once. Pint is used more. Therefore, everything we're going to convert to pints. So I'm just going to bring pint. Every time I see pint, let's make everything pint and line it up right below it. Pint, pint. Okay? And everything will be pint. Bring my equal sign down. Everything's going to be in pints. Okay? Nothing's there. That's already in pints, so I'm just going to bring it down. And this is different. This is the one we have to solve. So we put a box around that one because this is the one we have to solve for. And when we solve, we do our step 1, 2, 3, like we've been doing for a Kuhn's age, right? So you know how to do it. The most important thing we have to know, well, it's all important really, but the most critical thing is knowing our measures or we can't do it, right? So are we going from larger to smaller or smaller to larger? Which is bigger, cups or pints? What's our facts? Do cups equal pints or do pints equal a cup? You should know that 2 cups are in a pint. If you don't have that memorized, then you'll be in trouble with this. So if there's 2 cups in 1 pint, a pint's bigger. So we're going from something that's smaller to something that's larger. And what did we say from smaller to larger? We divide. Larger to smaller, we multiply. But smaller to larger, we divide. So that's the first thing we need to know. We're going to be dividing. What are we going to be dividing? Well, what's the special number? The special number is how many cups in a pint? 2. 2 is that special number, isn't it? So we're going to divide 2 by something. Well, what is the other number? 18. So we're simply going to divide 18 divided by 2. Or just like that. With larger numbers, you do that, but this one's simple enough that we know the answer, don't we? What is the answer? 18 divided by 2, 9. Guess what goes in the blank? 9. But we're not done, are we? Because we have this whole thing to solve, don't we? But we now know that the rest is easy, isn't it? We've got 9 pints plus 3 pints equals how many pints? 9 plus 3, 12. See that? 9 plus 3, 12. And then just bring your answer up to the original blank. That's really important on a test. Don't just leave that and go on. Write it one more time in the, like this would be the blank that was printed on your paper or on your quiz or your test. You'll still want to come up and make sure you put that in the blank after you've solved it and you've double checked that it is correct. So hopefully you did well with that. Story problems today. Think through those. They aren't terribly hard story problems today, but you do need to know this fact to do one of them. How many quarts in a gallon? If you know how many quarts are in a gallon, you can do your story problem B today. Story problem A is simply averaging. How do we average? We add and then divide by what? We add and then divide to get an average. You know, like the grades you got. That's how we get our average, don't we? We divide by what number? The number of add-ins. the number of numbers we're adding up, we divide by that number. Okay? So if there's 5 of them, if there's 6, if there's 7, if there's 3, that's the number we'll divide by. So we'll add them all up and divide that number by the number of addends to get. Now, remember on our story problems, make sure in your answer you don't just put a number, you put average. If it's asking you the average, put the word average next to it. If it asks you for in all, gallons in all, you need to put gallons in all, or inches in all, or quarts altogether, or in all, whatever it asks you to do, or 7 dogs left. Understand if that's what your story was about. All right, you do well. Thermometers, division problems. Know the difference between kilo. Which one's smaller? Is a kilogram smaller or is a milligram smaller? I hope you said milligram. Know which ones, know the order. Milli, I'm not going to write them all out. I'm just going to say them, I think. Milli, what? Centi, deci, unit, deca, hecto, kilo. And have all of them in the order in your mind of which is bigger, which is smaller. You do a super job. And as long as you understand these things, you should not have a terrible time with the paper that you will have for today.